You have never been truly cold, not once in your entire life. The coldest you have ever felt waiting for a bus, scraping ice off a windshield. Walking from a parking lot in January was nothing. Your ancestors would have laughed at you. We are talking about -40 on the Eurasian steppe. -40 is the temperature where exposed skin starts dying, where every breath causes pain, where the wind doesn't chill you, it hunts you. A modern human dropped into an ice age winter without preparation would be dead before sunrise. And yet your ancestors didn't just survive it, they built houses in it. Let's start with what everyone gets wrong. The image most people carry is the same one. Shivering cave people hunched around a small fire. That image is wrong, completely wrong. Your ancestors weren't surviving the Ice Age, they were engineering their way through it. With a level of technical sophistication that modern Arctic specialists have studied, replicated, and struggled to improve upon.
Here is the first thing that changes everything. They mostly didn't live in caves.
At sites dating back hundreds of thousands of years across Russia and Eastern Europe. Researchers found circular depressions dug deliberately into the earth, 6 to 8 feet deep, 12 feet across. Tool marks in the soil made the intent clear. These weren't natural formations. They were engineered. At 6 to 8 feet below the surface, ground temperature stays 20 to 30 degrees warmer than the air above. Your ancestors didn't fight the cold. They went below it. That single insight that the Earth itself was a thermal resource is the same principle behind modern geothermal heating. They worked it out without a physics degree, sitting in a frozen landscape 200,000 years ago. But going underground was only the first layer. At sites in the Czech Republic dating to 26,000 years ago, archaeologists found shelter walls built in 3 distinct layers, each one doing a specific job. Each one doing a specific job. Outside that, dried grass and moss, wicking moisture away before it could freeze.
Here we see the outermost layer, which is expertly crafted from tightly woven reeds and bark.
This was deliberate. Someone figured out that the problem wasn't just cold, it was moisture destroying the structure. So they designed around it. The same logic sits inside the walls of your house right now. Vapor barrier, insulating foam, weatherproofing. Your Ice Age ancestors used hide, moss, and bark. The materials were different. The physics were identical. Now, here's where it gets genuinely hard to believe. Picture someone standing on the Ukrainian steppe 15,000 years ago, looking at the skeleton of a woolly mammoth, and thinking, I can build a home from this. That's exactly what happened. In Ukraine, archaeologists found houses built entirely from mammoth bones, skulls each weighing over 200 pounds. Curved tusks bent into dome frameworks, hundreds of smaller bones packed into the gaps. The whole structure wrapped in stitched mammoth hide, thick enough to block wind. When researchers built experimental reconstructions, the numbers surprised them. A properly built mammoth bone house with only a modest fire inside held interior temperatures 40 to 50 degrees warmer. Let's compare the traditional bone structure you see here with this contemporary cold-weather dwelling. Notice the similarities in the foundational design.
Stone Age builders, bones, hide, and stone tools, matching the thermal performance of 21st century Arctic engineering.
The heating systems inside were smarter than they look. A central hearth provided primary heat. Smaller secondary hearths around the perimeter created warm zones for different uses. The layout wasn't random. It was planned the same way you'd plan the rooms of a house. On the treeless steppe, where wood was scarce, your ancestors developed alternative fuels: mammoth dung, bone processed specifically for burning. Chemical analysis of ancient hearth residues shows these weren't just thrown onto a fire. They were treated for specific heat outputs. These people were managing fuel like an engineer manages a resource. And then there was ventilation. This is the detail that still catches modern Arctic engineers off guard. Every warm and closed space faces the same silent threat: moisture. Breathing, cooking, bodies, all of it generates water vapor. In sub-zero temperatures, that vapor freezes inside the walls. The structure fails from within. Your ancestors solved this with small openings near ground level, pulling cold, fresh air in, and larger openings near the apex, releasing the warm, moisture-laden air out. A passive ventilation system in a bone house 15,000 years ago. For hundreds of thousands of years, your ancestors slept differently than you do.
Not 8 hours straight, 2 phases, 4 hours, a waking period of 1 to 2 hours, then 4 more until dawn. That waking hour in the middle of the night inside a warm bone house, while the steppe outside was frozen solid.
That's when something remarkable happened.
During daylight hours, roughly 80% of conversation was practical, logistics, hunting, and resources.
But at night, around the fire, that number flipped. 81% of nighttime conversation was stories.
The campfire was the original theater, the original classroom, the original place where humans became fully human. You didn't invent warmth, you inherited it from people who had nothing but cold, time, and the absolute refusal to die.